For years, Abby Lee Miller was invincible. She called the shots literally. On Dance Moms, she yelled orders, created champions, and transformed melodramatic breakdowns into guilty pleasure TV. Fans devoured the drama, the talent, and above all, Abby's bad attitude. She was a household name, and her studio was every aspiring young dancer's dream or nightmare. But then, out of nowhere, she vanished. One minute she was on top of the world, and the next she was nowhere to be found. No grand finale, no grand farewell, just nothing. What occurred? Fans started to whisper about troubles, court battles, emotional meltdowns, even betrayal from the people she trusted most. The woman, once towering and imposing, was now off the radar. Courtroom confrontations and behind-the-scenes secrets began circulating. Abby wasn't just another reality star, she was reality TV for a whole generation. But when the truth finally came out, it sent shockwaves through the dance world. So what really happened to Abby Lee Miller? You're about to find out. Early life and career. Abby Lee Miller was born on September 21, 1965 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. She came from a family that had a strong passion for dance. Her mother, Marianne Lorraine Miller, was a dance instructor and proprietor of the Marianne Lorraine Dance Studio. Abby's father, George Salty Miller, played a significant role in her life as well. Abby grew up in the Pittsburgh suburb of Penn Hills, surrounded by the dance world from a young age, studying with her mother. At age 15 in 1980, Abby founded the Abby Lee Dance Company out of her mother's studio. It was here that she began as a dance educator and mentor. Abby assumed complete ownership of the studio and renamed it Rain Dance Productions in 19... As the years passed, Abby built her business up and became known for being a gruff but gifted coach. In 2015, she expanded to a second location in Los Angeles, though the studio later closed and was sold in 2017 when Abby was sent to prison. Upon her release, she moved her LA studio to a smaller facility with one dance room and a merchandise store. In December 2022, it was reported that her original Pittsburgh studio had been permanently shut down, sold, and converted into a bus lot and daycare. Abby's career changed dramatically when she was certified by Dance Masters of America in 1986. She was also a member of the Dance Masters of Pennsylvania Chapter #10, but had her membership terminated in 2012. The group disapproved of her reality television show Dance Moms, terming it a misrepresentation of dance students and instructors, which they believed was hurtful to the profession. Abby Lee Miller became a household name in 2011 when she appeared on Dance Moms, a reality television program that was broadcast on Lifetime. The program centered on her tough-as-nails coaching style and the lives of the young dancers she was training, as well as the sometimes dramatic relationships between Abby and the mothers of the dancers. The show lasted for 8 seasons, concluding in September 2019. Dance Moms was extremely popular because it combined talent, tension, and drama. Aside from Dance Moms, Abby had 3 spin-off series: Abby's Ultimate Dance Competition, which lasted 2 seasons, Dance Moms Miami, and Dance Moms Abby's Studio Rescue, which had only 7 episodes. She guest starred as a judge on Dancing with the Stars. She launched a second studio in Los Angeles in 2015 called ALDC LA. Abby, however, made the news in 2017 when she announced that she was leaving Dance Moms. Despite this, she returned to the show in 2018 for Season 8, which was titled Dance Moms Resurrection, and premiered in June 2019. In 2020, after nearly a decade with Dance Moms, Abby announced on Instagram that she would be leaving the show and Lifetime. There are rumors that the show may return on a new network, with Abby hinting at this possibility in an interview with Pop Crave. Abby Lee Miller's career has not been without its highs and lows, but she certainly made her presence felt on reality television and the dance world. All about Dance Moms. Dance Moms is filmed primarily in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and also filmed in Los Angeles, California. The reality television series initially documented the young dancers of the Abby Lee Dance Company's junior elite competition team, girls between the ages of 6 and 13. Every week the girls went on a different competition, earning rewards and training for major events such as nationals. Their tough coach Abby Lee Miller had a mission to transform them into professional dancers who could succeed in the outside world. In addition to the dancing, the show also focused on the drama between the moms of the dancers. The moms frequently battled with Abby and one another as they competed to ensure their daughters received the attention. The heated rivalries and disagreements became a large reason that people watched. In the meantime, the girls' performances continued to improve, and fans enjoyed watching their relationship strengthen. Abby was famous for her tough love style. She didn't hold anything back when it came to dishing out harsh criticism, even if it was personal. One of the most discussed segments of the show was Abby's weekly pyramid, when she graded the girls on their dancing, their attitude, and even their mother's behavior. Surprisingly, Abby later revealed she never utilized the pyramid prior to the show and claimed that it was the producer's invention. During season 5, Abby relocated the team to LA to attempt to crack the acting and music industries. Later during season 7, a group of dancers and their mothers broke away from the Abby Lee Dance Company to start a new team called the Irreplaceables. Shortly afterward, Abby also left the show. In July 2018, Abby revealed that she would be back for season 8. The cast included a new group of 8 dancers, and the show went back to its original studio in Pittsburgh. Season 8 aired on June 4, 2019. Abby and the executive producer have discussed a season 9, but no new information has been released. Controversies and criticisms on Dance Moms. Abby Lee Miller has come in for a lot of criticism throughout her career, both for her tough teaching methods and some serious issues off stage. A number of people who've worked with her, including former students and their parents, have complained about the hostile atmosphere she purportedly fostered in her dance studio. Miller was frequently reported to shout at her students, embarrassing them over their weight and making hurtful remarks about their looks or intelligence. Certain of her former Abby Lee Dance Company members allege she employed drastic techniques to drive her dancers. Here's an example. She allegedly had students jump with a 5 lilber sack of potatoes, instructing them, "If you gain 5 lilbers you'll feel that heavy." Others indicated she assigned students nicknames for their stomachs, posted weights in the studio, and even pinched them so severely that they bled. Surprisingly, she was also accused of sending teenage students lingerie as Christmas gifts. One of the biggest controversies arose in season 2 of Dance Moms in an episode titled Topless Showgirls. The little girls did a burlesque-themed dance in flesh called costumes designed to resemble them being naked. The outrage was instantaneous, and the routine was widely considered to be in poor taste. While Miller made excuses for the costumes by explaining that the girls were fully dressed, the episode was taken off the air and is not found on DVD or streaming sites. Following these allegations, Lifetime severed all connections with Abby Lee Miller and canceled her scheduled show Abby's Virtual Dance-Off. Despite apologizing, the damage was already done. Authorship. Abby Lee Miller in 2014 chose to impart her lessons and experience from decades of teaching dance and being in the entertainment world by publishing a book. The book, Everything I Learned About Life I Learned in Dance Class, presents readers with a glimpse of Miller's life and the lessons she gathered from her professional dance career. In the book, Abby Lee Miller blends her dance expertise with lessons she's learned along the way. As a dance instructor, she's infamous for being hard on her students, challenging them to be their best. But in her book, Miller says that those hard lessons weren't merely about mastering dance steps. They were also concerned with developing character, learning about discipline, and appreciating the value of hard work. The book shows her believing that the lessons learned in the dance studio are transferable to a wide variety of life skills, including confidence, teamwork, and perseverance. Throughout Everything I Learned About Life I Learned in Dance Class, Miller shares her experiences of both successes and setbacks. She gives lessons learned from her years of operating the Abby Lee Dance Company, where she instructed many young dancers who went on to become famous, such as Maddie Ziegler. She discusses the discipline and perseverance required to succeed in the competitive dance and entertainment world. The book is not all about dancing either. It's also about personal growth and lessons that go beyond the dance floor. Abby talks about the importance of believing in yourself, having high expectations, and not letting failures get in the way of your dreams. Her straightforward and non-nonsense approach comes across in the book, just as it did on the Dance Mom show. Besides telling her own stories, Miller also purses over some of the lessons in life she has imparted to her students throughout the years. For her, dance is not merely about the steps or the routines. It's learning how to work hard, meet challenges head-on, and keep focused on the larger picture. In total, Abby Lee Miller's book is a combination of career guidance, self-reflection, and inspirational lessons. It's an examination of how life and dance are so intertwined, and how lessons from the studio can influence a person's character and destiny. It's a book that provides readers with an opportunity to view the world from Abby's perspective and gain some valuable lessons in the process. Racism allegations. Abby Lee Miller posted a black square on Instagram on June 2, 2020 for Blackout Tuesday. This was an Instagram movement to demonstrate support for the Black Lives Matter protest that followed the murder of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Breonna Taylor. But rather than support, her post generated plenty of backlash. In short order after her posting, Adriana Smith, whose daughter Cameron appeared on Season 8 of Dance Moms, weighed in. She disclosed that she and her daughter left the show due to racist treatment by Abby. Adriana recounted one specific remark that lingered with her. She said, She explained Abby had said to her, "I know you grew up in the hood with a box of 8 crayons, but I was raised in the country club with a box of 64. Don't be stupid." She was deeply hurt by the comment and finally went public about it. The following day, another Dance Moms mom, Camille Bridges, came forward as well. Her daughter Cameron had also appeared on the show, and Camille stated Abby treated her daughter differently because she was black. Camille described the atmosphere as extremely hostile and said Abby would attempt to portray Cameron as the poor one and one who was there because of a scholarship. According to Camille, Abby even spoke horribly on camera. She called the entire experience traumatic, something she would not wish on her worst enemy. Once the backlash ensued, Abby removed her Black Lives Matter post. On June 4, 2020, she posted a public apology to Cameron, Adriana, and anyone else whom she may have offended. In her apology, she said that she recognized racism can be based on ignorance, as well as hate. She told her she couldn't turn back the clock, but she vowed to learn from it and improve in the future. Abby indicated she hoped to regain their forgiveness, although she knew that an apology wasn't enough, but Adriana did not accept the apology. She claimed it wasn't sincere, and reposted Abby's message with her commentary. Adriana also spoke out on behalf of other dancers who had been treated the same, such as Nia Frazier, Cameron, and Nika Y. A day later on June 5, 2020, TV network Lifetime severed all connections with Abby. They canceled Abby's Virtual Dance-Off, a reality competition show that had only been announced in April and was set to debut in summer 2020. They also let it be known that Abby would not be going back to Dance Moms, even if the show returned for a new season. This was a turning point in Abby's career, and initiated broader discussions regarding racism within the dance world. The Highlands versus Abby Lee Miller. If you watch Dance Moms, you might recall Kelly Highland and her daughters Brooke and Paige. They were a central part of the show during its first seasons. However, what many people don't know is that things got extremely ugly behind the scenes between Kelly and Abby Lee Miller. So ugly that it went to court. It began in 2014 when Kelly Highland sued Abby. She said Abby attacked her during a fight. Viewers may remember one of the more notorious scenes from the series in which the two engaged in a physical altercation. But in Kelly's account, it wasn't just about that one incident. She explained that the entire atmosphere on the show was designed to be aggressive and confrontational by design, not only by Abby but by the producers as well. Why? To create drama and get more viewers. Actually, Kelly didn't only sue Abby. A $5 million lawsuit was also brought against Collins Avenue Entertainment, the show's production company. The argument was that they were inciting these types of altercations, fully aware they could get violent for the sake of television ratings. But that wasn't the end of it. Paige Highland, Kelly's younger daughter, also became involved legally. She sued Abby in her own $5 million lawsuit, claiming she experienced emotional distress during the filming of the show. In Paige's opinion, Abby's behavior toward her and the other dancers went far beyond strict instruction. It crossed the line into bullying and emotional abuse. Paige claimed the pressure and negativity took a deep toll on her, particularly at such a young age. But Paige's lawsuit didn't go anywhere in the end. The claims of emotional distress were ultimately dismissed, but the fact that a teenager felt compelled to sue her dance instructor speaks volumes about how serious things had to be. Those lawsuits pulled back the curtain on Dance Moms, exposing a far darker reality off camera, one in which entertainment potentially cost a real emotional price. Allegations of emotional abuse. Throughout the years, Abby Lee Miller has received much criticism over her teaching, with some past students and their families accusing her of emotional abuse. One of the most vocal voices is Maddie Ziegler, who came up with Abby Lee Miller's guidance. In 2022, Maddie discussed her experience on the show as toxic and sad, and said she never wishes to speak to Abby Lee Miller again. She highlighted the emotional cost the atmosphere imposed on her through her youth. Chloe Lukasiak too has spoken out about her experience. She described being subjected to criticism and how it affected her self-esteem. In a heartfelt conversation, Chloe emphasized the difficulty of having to handle such negativity as a young person. Kendall Vertis, who was a Dance Moms cast member from a very young age, had similar thoughts. She discussed how Miller used to make hateful remarks about the children's appearance and capabilities that left them emotionally scarred long after. Kendall highlighted how tough it is for a child to process such things. These testimonies are not singular. Numerous former cast members and their parents have repeated such concerns, describing a culture in which public humiliation, favoritism, and emotional manipulation were ubiquitous. Critics say that what was presented as tough coaching went too far to include emotional abuse with long-lasting effects on the young dancers. Although there has been backlash, Abby Lee Miller has not made a public apology specifically for these accusations. Although she has apologized for some of the things she does, many past students believe that the damage done is not seriously acknowledged or confronted. The stories of these young dancers reveal the seedy underbelly of reality television and the pressures child performers are subjected to. Their experiences remind us of the need to protect the welfare of young talents in the entertainment industry. Bankruptcy fraud indictment. As Dance Moms was busy generating headlines for all the on-screen drama, its star Abby Lee Miller was generating headlines of her own in court. In 2015, Miller was in some serious legal hot water when the U.S. Department of Justice (DOJ) indicted her on several charges of financial wrongdoing. What went down? Let's break it down in a nutshell. Miller was indicted for bankruptcy fraud. That essentially translates to her lying in her bankruptcy proceeding to conceal how much she was really earning.
And it wasn't peanuts. Based on the indictment, Miller didn't disclose about $755,000 in income. That's the money from her masterclasses, merchandise sales, and business deals related to Dance Moms, but she kept them hidden from the bankruptcy court. In addition to bankruptcy fraud, she was also indicted on charges of concealment of bankruptcy assets and false statements. In simple terms, this is to say that she was charged with concealing her money and lying about her finances in official papers. If found guilty on all charges, Miller could have faced some pretty steep penalties, up to 5 years in prison and $250,000 in fines per charge, which would have added up to a possible $5 million fine. Initially, she pleaded not guilty, and the trial was postponed several times, but in June 2016, Miller opted to take a plea deal. She pleaded guilty to lesser charges, which meant that she took some blame in lie of potentially receiving a lighter sentence. This entire ordeal stunned fans and left them with many questions about what was truly happening in the background of the hit television show. For all her preaching about discipline, order, and control, after all, that is how Abby Lee Miller created her brand. And yet here she was embroiled in a complicated and public accounting scandal. It was apparent that though she was educating children on how to be sharp, polished performers, her own works and business were not at all clean. Customs fraud. Abby Lee Miller was seriously in legal hot water in 2016 after being charged with customs fraud. She did not report more than $120,000 in Australian money she brought into the country after touring Australia. According to U.S. law, any money of $10,000 or more must be reported by the traveler at point of entry, and Miller did not comply with that regulation. Reports suggested that Miller tried to evade the law by splitting the money into her workers' bags, instructing them to carry the cash in Ziploc bags. This was an attempt not to be detected by customs agents. This charge of customs fraud was distinct from her previous case of bankruptcy fraud, for which she was charged with hiding $775,000 worth of income. Miller pleaded guilty in June 2016 to a single count of hiding bankruptcy assets and a single count of not reporting an international monetary transaction. Due to these allegations, Miller was sentenced in May 2017 to 1 year and 1 day in federal prison along with 2 years of supervised release. She was also required to pay a $40,000 fine and a $120,000 judgment. Miller started serving her sentence in July 2017 at the Victorville Federal Correctional Institution in California. She was subsequently moved to a halfway house in March 2018 and was released in May 2018 after being granted time off for good behavior. This legal incident had a major impact on Miller's career and public image, emphasizing the need to follow financial and legal responsibilities. Health challenges. Abby Lee Miller has been in a wheelchair for a few years now, but not many know the whole story about it. Abby, who became famous for her intense dance instruction and dramatic television moments, has been secretly fighting some very serious medical conditions. Earlier in 2018, Abby was diagnosed with Burkitt lymphoma. It is a rare but aggressive cancer that grows quickly and had already spread to her spine. She underwent emergency spinal surgery and went through rigorous chemotherapy to overcome it. Thankfully, the cancer went into remission a little while later that year. But even after overcoming her battle with cancer, things did not ease out. The treatment made Abby paraplegic, which means that she lost movement and sensation in her lower limbs. That's why she currently uses a wheelchair to move around. Her bones have also turned out to be very brittle. She even broke 4 bones in her right leg at one point, which made it more difficult for her to recover and learn to walk. Abby has spoken about her challenges in interviews. She's had additional surgeries beyond the first one when she needed to repair additional issues in her spine. But even with all that, she hasn't lost her spirit. In fact, she jokes quite frequently that her leg is bionic, and that she feels like she can jump over tall buildings. That sense of humor and spirit are what propel her forward.